My name is Dr. Maya Alvarez, and I was told not to come home for Christmas. The call came 3 days before. I had just gotten back from a grueling double shift at the palliative ward in Vancouver, drained to the bone, but still smiling as I looked at the neatly packed suitcase by my apartment door. I had picked out thoughtful gifts for everyone. A hand-knit scarf for Dad, the organic fig jam my sister-in-law pretends to hate but always finishes, and the ingredients for my signature sage stuffing. The one they all insist magically appears every year without quite remembering who makes it. I even bought a new forest green sweater, soft, warm, festive enough to fit in but quiet enough not to look like I was trying too hard. So when my phone buzzed and I saw my younger brother Eli's name on the screen, I assumed he was calling to ask if I could pick up ice or help organize the Secret Santa spreadsheet like every year. But instead, his voice was cautious. "Hey, Maya, so listen, Zoe's coming to Christmas, okay? She's really into energy and presence and keeping the space light. And sometimes, with your work, it can feel kind of heavy, you know?" I waited. He continued, "I just think, for her sake, maybe it's better if you sat this one out. It's not personal." I didn't argue. I didn't ask him what he meant by heavy. He didn't say, "Because you're a palliative care doctor who walks people through the end of their lives with more grace and empathy than anyone I know." No, just heavy, like a thundercloud on his curated minimalist holiday Instagram grid. An hour later, Mom called. Her voice was soft, almost like a lullaby with barbed wire hidden underneath. "Sweetheart, we're just trying to make this easy for everyone. You know how sensitive Zoe is. If you come, it might confuse things. Honestly, we might not answer the door." That was the moment I knew. I wasn't just not invited. I was unwanted. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I said, "Okay," hung up and opened my banking app. Mortgage top-up, canceled, auto loan support, paused. Emergency repair fund for their roof, locked. For the first time, I stopped being their silent backbone. I didn't post anything online, didn't message a single person. I just stopped, and that silence, for once, belonged to me. For years, I thought the way they treated me was normal, that maybe I really was too serious, too intense, too driven. I was the oldest, the prototype, as Dad liked to say during barbecues, just before handing Eli the bigger burger and calling him the miracle baby. Eli, the artist, the soul of the family. He dropped out of college twice to become a visual storyteller, and they threw him a re-entry brunch with mimosas and a hashtag. Meanwhile, when I got accepted into medical school on my first try, no gap year, no hesitation, Mom just said, "Wow, that's intense. Make sure you don't burn out." When I submitted my first research paper for publication, I left the printed copy on the kitchen counter, hoping someone would ask. No one did. When I brought home straight A's, they glanced and said, "That's nice," before sliding my report card under a stack of coupons. Eli once came home with a participation ribbon from a local film contest. They framed it. I tried. God, I tried. I showed up. I worked holidays. I covered their overdue utility bill last winter without being asked. I loaned Eli money when his short film didn't get the funding he expected, money I knew I'd never see again. But it never mattered. In their eyes, Eli was the one with a future, a glow. I was the serious one, the reminder of things they didn't want to feel. Until I stopped. There's a strange pain that comes with realizing you've only ever been useful, not loved. That was me, the fixer, the helper, the emergency fund on legs. I bought them a new water heater when theirs cracked in February. I spotted their overdraft before they even knew and quietly covered it. I paid for Eli's flight home last Thanksgiving after he spent his savings on a new lens. I never brought it up, never held it over them, because I thought it meant I mattered. But then I started noticing. They only missed me when I made things easier. My help was invisible until it vanished. My presence was tolerable, as long as I didn't ask to be seen. Still, I kept helping. Out of love? Maybe. Out of duty? Possibly. Or maybe just out of habit. But that night, After being told not to come, something shifted. Not rage, clarity. I paused every transfer. The $900 a month I slipped into their mortgage? Gone. The rainy day fund I kept just for their car repairs? Closed. The $1,400 Eli still owed me? Written off. But nothing more would follow. They wouldn't feel it immediately. That's the thing about silent support. You only notice its absence after everything starts to fall apart. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't explain. I didn't even light my tiny tree. I spent Christmas alone, wrapped in the rosemary-scented blanket my grandmother had left me, drinking tea by the window and listening to old jazz records. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just existed. And for the first time, that was enough. But the day after Christmas, my phone lit up. 3 missed calls. Mom, then a text. "Can you call? You've already done enough damage." My stomach dropped. Then a call from Aunt Jess, Dad's sister, the only one who ever remembered my birthday with a handwritten card. I picked up. Her voice was soft. "Maya, what happened?" "They're saying you ruined Christmas, but you weren't even there." I exhaled. "I ruined it?" Jess hesitated. "Something happened with Zoe. She left early. There was yelling. Your name came up." That was all she knew. But it was enough. Later that evening, she called again. "So, apparently, Zoe saw a photo of you in the living room. Just an old snapshot. Maybe your med school graduation or something. And she recognized you." I went still. She said, "That's Dr. Alvarez. She treated my grandmother." The room, Jess said, went silent. Then Zoe asked, "Is that the sister you always talk about?" No one replied. Whatever happened next made her quietly gather her things and walk out the door. I didn't need the details. I could imagine it. The jokes they always made. How I was married to my job, how I was morbid for working with dying patients. That awful line Eli once said, "Maya's basically death in a lab coat." But this time, someone else had heard them. Someone who hadn't grown up believing cruelty was just how families teased each other. Someone who remembered the woman who sat beside her grandmother during her final hours, who didn't flinch at suffering, who stayed. That's how I ruined Christmas. By not being there to uphold the narrative. By refusing to play the self-effacing older sister who always smiled while they reduced her to a footnote. 2 days later, my mom called again. No hello, just tension. "I don't know what you said to her, but Eli's a mess." Apparently, Zoe blocked his number. She also posted something online, a short piece about what it felt like to walk into a home expecting warmth, and instead hearing a room mock the person who had once saved her grandmother's life. She tagged me in a photo. "She's dragging him through the mud in her circles," Mom snapped. "In New York, he's being blacklisted." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was finally visible. They had tried so hard to erase me, and now the consequences of that erasure were coming for the only thing they truly valued, their image. I didn't respond. I just opened Zoe's post. It wasn't bitter. It wasn't dramatic. It was real. She wrote about kindness, about what it meant to see someone mocked for being exactly what the world needed more of. One line stopped me cold. "Some people hide their cruelty behind politeness and twinkle lights." But the moment I saw her photo, I remembered what real compassion looks like. And it wasn't anyone sitting at that table. It went viral. Artists, patients, strangers. They shared it. And for once, no one called me cold. They said I mattered. That night my phone buzzed again. Voicemail from Zoe. Her voice was quieter now, more grounded. "I hope it's okay I got your number from Jess. I just needed to say thank you. You probably don't remember me, but I remember you. You made my grandmother feel seen. You were kind. You didn't treat her like she was already gone." She paused, then softly, "I'm sorry for what was said about you. I didn't know. I just couldn't stay. I hope that's okay." I cried, not out of sadness, out of something deeper, recognition. She didn't ask for anything. She didn't want coffee or connection. She just honored the truth. And that healed something I didn't know was still bleeding. 3 days later, a small package arrived. A letter, handwritten, thick cream paper. Zoe wrote about her grandmother, how she still practiced yoga twice a week, still talked about the young doctor who told her, "You're not done yet." She thanked me for more than just medicine, for showing her what strength looks like. I framed the letter. It hangs beside my desk, where I finish patient notes every night. Then came the email. Subject: "Let's reset." Signed, Mom, Dad, Eli, Polished, Hollow. "We regret how things may have been perceived." In paragraph 4, the ask: "We'd appreciate if you reached out to Zoe. Maybe ask her to take the post down." There it was, the olive branch disguised as damage control. Brunch wasn't peace, it was PR. I didn't respond. The next day, my dad called my supervisor, said I was emotionally unstable, tried to plant a seed. He failed. My hospital called me immediately. "We have your back." So that bridge burned. Then the group message to the extended family, carefully curated half-truths. "We're worried about Maya's mental state. She's tearing the family apart." 2 cousins messaged me. One sent me a voucher for a wellness retreat. Just in case. Then came the final move. A knock on the door. I looked through the peephole. There they were, my parents, Eli. I opened it, leaned against the frame. "We just want to talk," Mom said gently. I didn't move, because by then I understood. They weren't there for me. They were there for the version of me who cleaned up the mess. And she didn't live here anymore. So I said simply, "No. No anger, no monologue, no explanation." I closed the door, and I didn't feel guilty. I made tea, sat by my framed letter, and I felt peace. Because real love doesn't require shrinking. Real recognition comes from those who choose to see you. So to anyone out there who has been made to feel too serious, too much, too inconvenient, hear this: you are not the problem. You never had to twist yourself into a shape that made them feel better. Write your own story. And if this one resonated, please share it. Because sometimes the loudest truth comes from the ones who finally stop showing up.